Did you know that the episode you are about to listen to is available on YouTube as a full multi-camera experience? Search for the Murder Police podcast channel on YouTube. Subscribe and see what you have been missing.
But I had to leave that job because the inmates were telling me things that I really did not want to hear. And I finally had to separate myself from it when they were in the kitchen. And I felt, I can't work beside these people that know what's happened to my daughter. But I was told, Miss Mary, we have family out there. We can't talk to you about anything.
Where is Linda Price? Part 1 of 2.
Warning. The podcast you're about to listen to may contain graphic descriptions of violent assaults, murder, and adult language. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Murder Police podcast. Today we're going to discuss the disappearance of Linda Price, and we have with us today her mother, Mary Elizabeth, and her son, Chase. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
David, how are you?
Good. We've been talking about producing this one for quite a bit of time, and it's an important one to produce. We need people to know who Linda is and some of the circumstances behind her disappearance, and, of course, to ask people in the community to help out, and that's what we're going to do today. So thank you all for joining us. It means a great deal to have a little bit of faith in us to be able to carry Linda's story through. So thank you again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for covering it.
Yes, thank you.
Well, why don't you start with telling us a little bit about Linda? You're her mother, Chase, you're her son. So why don't you just tell us who she is?
Linda is just a caring, loving person. She was a great mom, mother of 2. She just loved to laugh.
Mary Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about Linda as a baby and as a young girl. How was she as a child growing up?
Oh, she was a quiet baby. You had to feel over to see if she was breathing. She was just quiet. She didn't cry. I mean, she was just a good baby. And she loved challenge. And she was one of those children that she could be doing something wrong. And you would say, Linda, stop doing that. And she would turn around, and she had it in her mind that if she couldn't see you, you couldn't see what she was doing.
That's excellent.
She was very funny. But she loved bicycles and just baby dolls. She loved baby dolls.
What city did Linda grow up?
In Danville.
In Danville, Kentucky.
When was she born? Before we let that go too far past that.
August 25th, 1983.
1983?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, we're coming up on that birthday here in just a few months here. And we're actually recording in Danville, where that disappearance happened. When you talked about her loving dolls and things like that, what were some of her other passions? Like, did she have a favorite color?
Oh, she loved the color blue.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we share that in common. I love anything blue. I'll eat anything if it's blue, to be honest with you. I love blue. So we have that in common. And you said she liked riding bikes or things like that. When she got into school, were there subjects that she focused on more, or were there things she absolutely hated? Tell us a little bit about when she got into school.
Linda liked school until she got in the middle grade, 6th or 7th grade, I think. It became harder, and she wouldn't give up, but she would just hate to ask for help.
Middle school is a turning point for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's where the socialization changes, the peer pressure comes on.
Exactly.
Kids start worrying about things other than grades. Does that make any sense?
Exactly.
So I can see her. It's so common. I think most kids struggle in middle school. It's a very difficult turning point for a lot of people. Did she get involved in athletics or academic teams or anything like that?
No. She just had a few close friends, and that's what she She just valued them, and she hung out with them and just tried to enjoy life. She loved roller skate, so I would take her and her brother, her older brother, I would take them to the skating rink before their younger brother was born.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he was born, we had trouble getting there all the time because you don't take a baby to the skate rink. So she didn't understand that. But
there we go. How old was she when she was into skating? Do you remember?
8 and up. She loved to skate.
Yeah. Indoor rinks, I guess, right? Yeah. Where at?
Up here at Windjammer in Danville.
Okay, I got you. That's true. I forgot that was there. And you read my mind. I was going to ask if she had a close circle of friends or not. The people that were close to her. I think for girls that might be more important than for boys.
She probably had 3.
Yeah.
There we go. Did they stay in touch over the years, or did they?
Yes, she had 2 that stayed in touch with her for plumb to adulthood.
Okay.
Even when Chase and Paisley was.
Gotcha. Sibling-wise, you mentioned that. I was going to ask that too. Brothers and sisters for Linda, and how many, and their ages?
Okay, she's got, the oldest brother is, oh crap. I'm not good with math, so I'm sorry. But she has an older brother, Chris Vickery. Then she has Thomas Wilson.
Okay.
And then her younger brother is Lewis Wilson.
Okay, good deal. Kind of in the middle a little bit. Yeah,
she
sort of in
was
the middle.
the only girl.
One girl among 3 boys.
And she was meaner than them boys.
Had to be. Yeah.
I had to teach her to be.
I was going to say, and I've always said in my dad's side of the family that having daughters was extremely rare. And so when I learned I was having a daughter 26 years ago, I got down on my knees and thanked God, because I came up in a house with 4 brothers and we were rough. We tore that house up. I always tell people that's how I learned how to fight. I was in the middle and I got it and I gave it. And so I know what that's like as far as she would have to be.
So when she became a teenager, she was.
There we go.
She began to learn to defend herself.
That's it. I think the toughest woman I ever met was my Aunt Patty, because she was at the trail end of Dad's brothers and sisters. There was like 8 of them or something ridiculous like that. And then my cousin Terry was at the trail end of like 6 boys, I think. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So had to be tough.
It prepared you for me, didn't it?
Somewhat, but nothing could prepare me for you. Exactly.
That's so loving.
It is.
It?
Yeah.
You meant that in a really.
I did.
Way,
yeah.
you?
You could just feel the
But I
emotion.
bet he wouldn't change it for anything.
No. No, not at all. Before Tweety Birds start, we'll get back on this.
Yeah,
but thank you.
Better.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. But yeah, that's what I'm always interested to see. Now, in a little bit, we'll turn to why we're here today. Did any of her friends, were they close to her at the time when she went missing from this area?
No.
They just separated?
Linda took a turn in her life and experimented with drugs and kind of pushed all the people that were important to her away before she went missing.
That's what that happens, right? That happens. I've just shared, I don't mind sharing it again, that right before I retired in 2020, I lost my youngest brother to a drug overdose, and he had estranged himself from the rest of the family. So nobody's immune. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a struggle that many people go through, sometimes quietly, sometimes not. So my heart goes out to you with that. I've experienced that in many levels in my own personal family, so my heart goes into that. It's just it's a bad thing that's out there, and there's bad people that make sure people get it in the hands of people that have no business with it. So sorry to hear about that. So she enters into that, starts to struggle with that. That's a good way to put that and everything. It's on the basis of where some of the answers could be on this maybe too. Chase, you're her son. And I guess given that those dynamics were probably difficult for you as a son with a mother going through that, am I assuming too much there? Or?
Oh, no, it was absolutely a struggle, especially being a younger kid. You're kept away from a lot of the real world things because you don't want to corrupt a young child's mind with what's going on in the real world. So it was there was a lot of battles there, not knowing what was going on, of mom's in and out of the picture. So it was definitely a struggle.
Gotcha. Any idea how old you were when that struggle happened and you had to start dealing with it?
Mom was what you would call a frequent flyer in the jails.
Okay.
So I think I was around the age of 7 or 8, but at the time of her disappearance was in 2015. The time I was 12.
Gotcha.
So it was about a 3 to 4 year period of time that I was dealing with that.
Tough stuff for a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Tough stuff for a kid.
Now, during that time, did you go live with your grandmother or stay with her when your mother was incarcerated?
My dad, he was a single father.
Mm-hmm.
He had custody of us. He was struggling, with the divorce and getting back on his feet, trying to support 2 kids. So we were just kind of everywhere. We were passed around with the family. Dad's trying to make up, he's trying to get his money up. So we were passed around the family with my grandmother here, my grandmother on my dad's side, my aunt, grandfather. We were just around the family.
Yeah. So Linda had she started dabbling with the drugs, and then I guess we kind of missed the part where she had you and your sister and then got married. So I'm guessing when that happened, were you kind of thinking maybe she'll straighten out, get off the drugs, quit toying with those?
That followed after.
Oh.
After she had her children.
So
Okay,
up to
good.
that
Yes.
point, she was fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We done things together. I mean, we were close.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her second marriage, after her and Chase's dad had divorced, she got with the Prices, and that's when she changed. She married David Ashley Price,
Okay.
and that's when things changed. He had a past. His dad had history too. He was imprisoned.
So you think there might have been some influences in that relationship?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's
Definitely.
fair to say.
Definitely.
Yeah, fair to
Definitely.
say. How did you first notice that there was a problem?
She would call me, and during this time, Mom and Dad divorced. Her, me and my husband divorced. So to pick up the phone and just call me, I was devastated in my own. And I do carry guilt till this day that maybe I should have been there more for her. I'm sorry. I thought I dealt with this grief, but I haven't.
It's hard to talk about it.
I carry a lot of blame that I wasn't there for her. I tried to end my own life in my own struggles, and I wasn't there for her like I should have been, and maybe I could have done things different. That's what I have trouble with.
How old was she when it started again?
She turned 30.
Turned 30. A young adult then? Or not even a young adult anymore. I think we're limited on what we can do for other people even when we want to.
But as a parent, you always try to be there for your children, good
Sure.
or bad. Even my grandchildren, good or bad. I'm trying to be there for them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, be careful about beating yourself up on that, because as adults, we do start to make decisions.
It's been 10 years, and I thought I dealt with quite a bit of it, but I haven't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 10 years is a long time, and it's not a long time, a lot. But be careful about beating yourself up. Be careful. Sometimes as parents, we actually have to let our kids, especially as adults, make those decisions because we're actually more powerless than we believe. So be careful. Don't let that eat you alive. Don't let that eat you alive. Chase, going back to you again, I know you were young. Do you have any fond memories despite that before all the trouble started?
Not really much of fond memories. There's a few here and there moments that I can recall of, my sister and I, we would go over to Mom's for the weekend, or, during a school vacation week or something, we would go over there and hang out with her. One of the times that I do remember, she was with a woman, she was staying with a woman in Junction, or my apologies, Houstonville.
Houstonville.
And this woman, I grew up on game systems. I was a big gaming system kid. And you go into this woman's house, she's got gaming systems everywhere. So a very fond memory was playing games with Mom.
Okay.
You know, any console you could think of, that woman had it.
Oh, wow.
So that was a pretty cool, fond memory, playing all the old nostalgic games there.
Yeah, the older. Yeah, you're going to say old and nostalgic. Be careful. It's
We're talking Pong.
Pong. Yeah, Pizza Hut
I knew
for
that's where
75
you were
cents a
gonna go with
game.
that.
Exactly. That was bad stuff when I was a kid. I mean, we were masters of that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so we go through that period where it fractures the family, right? I've been there and lived through that myself in my own family. You're struggling to do what you can do for her and whatever. So she goes on and goes on with her life. And you said she's a frequent flyer in and out of the local jail, I guess, and stuff like that. So that's something that what kind of stuff was it? Just like petty crime, probably shoplifting and things like that, or?
I don't know the history of it. I don't think it was very severe.
I don't think so either. Yeah,
very severe crimes.
Yeah, you don't go in and out that much. So I'm just thinking a lot of things are associated with drug addiction.
I think she had fines and so forth that it first started out.
Probably couldn't pay them.
Yeah.
That would do it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's
That
probably
started,
low-level
and
things.
then it would increase.
Gotcha. Well, let's go back and head up in time a little bit.
At what point did you realize that Linda was missing? Like, I'm guessing you said she was kind of in and out, so it might be typical that she would maybe be gone for a day here and there. At what point did you realize she's missing and it's just not jail? She's not.
I was working in Lincoln County Jail System, and I had an inmate tell me that he was sorry to hear about my daughter. And I'm like, excuse me? And he said, well, I heard she had OD'd, Miss Mary. I said, okay. This was in May, the end of May.
Of 2015?
Yes. I'm telling you wrong. This was the end of June. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Let me retract that. The end of June. Because the actual day that we knew that she was finally missing was June 8th. But it was about almost the end of June. And then I had a family member on her side of the second husband come to me and tell me she was waiting outside my work. And she said, you need to file a report. Her husband was in jail and he can't file a missing person report. I said, well, I'll think about it. Then I started doing a little bit of investigation, calling around, talking to people. And by the time I finally came to the conclusion, nobody's seen her. In between this time, of course, I'm working and still days are going by.
And you'd maybe tried calling her and just no answer, going by where she stayed.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I waited a length of time thinking, well, maybe she just took off for a while. She'd had enough and she's just taken off for a while. Because the last time I had spoke to her, her grandfather was sick and he was dying with cancer. And that's the last time I spoke to Linda. And that was the 1st of June. And she had knew her grandfather had passed. So the last one to talk to her was her dad. And that was June the 8th.
Did you all go for periods of time sometimes where you just didn't communicate?
Yes.
That's not
we did. So that's why I waited a length of time to make sure, hey, I go file a missing person report. I know some people, you have to wait 30 days or whatever. So I waited a little bit of time. I went through all of July just to make sure that I was doing the right thing. And then I heard about Michael Gorley. And then I was getting phone calls. And I thought, well, I need to step up.
Yeah.
And August 3rd, I made a police report with Trooper Ayers sitting at the end of the driveway in Stanford.
I'm still just floored by you working in that facility and having somebody bring you news about your own daughter that way. How did that
I
happen?
had to finally leave that job. I loved that job. It was an easy job. But I had to leave that job because the inmates were telling me things that I really did not want to hear. And I finally had to separate myself from it when they were in the kitchen. And I felt, I can't work beside these people that know what's happened to my daughter. But I was told, Miss Mary, we have family out there. We can't talk to you about anything.
There we go. We hear that a lot. We hear when people are in your shoes that you'll hear those things.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it might be plausible, and we'll talk in a minute, Chase. You've done a lot of work on the background on this, and some of it's plausible, and then some of it is just like mean-spirited lies. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
We've heard that before, and we have always wondered why people would make
I've
that
had
up.
several people come and tell me they found pieces of her chopped up. I mean, just people talking, rumors.
Mm-hmm.
There's the key word, rumors.
That's a good word for it.
And everything I would follow up on.
Exactly. And again, we just for context, we're talking a small town area. Am I right? Maybe a holler involved and a mountain involved and everything where everybody knows each other. And to me, that makes it even more bizarre that people would know each other and they would express that information or manufacture that information. Or the big one we'll talk about in a little while too is if you really know something, why you're not taking it where it matters to actually bring peace to a family. We'll get there here in a few minutes. But again, I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes as being in there and having somebody approach that. And then the rest of the stories here and in the kitchen like that had to have been unreal.
So during this time, you were just kind of waiting, like maybe she'll call.
That's what I thought. Maybe
she'll show up.
Something was wrong and she had to distance herself. Is what I had felt. And I thought, well, she'll call me.
And I guess, Chase,
because there has never been a length of time that she hasn't reached out to Mom.
Right.
But when that length of time went by, I knew I needed to do something.
Did your intuition speak to you?
Yeah.
I think that's not uncommon. A mother's intuition is one of the strongest things on the planet. So
Chase, during this time, had you were, I believe you said you were 12. Had you just kind of wondered, where's my mom? Or was it not really something that you thought much about at that point?
It was something that I definitely kept in mind, but I didn't think of it as something very severe. I didn't think of the severity of the level at which she was gone because, she was in and out of the picture. So I didn't think of it any differently. Mom's just out doing mom things. She'll be back.
And I guess, Mary Elizabeth, you had reached out to her ex-husband, Chase's dad, and asked him, hey, have you heard from Linda? And he just
had.
Nobody. So during this time you're waiting, you filed the report, and were you still at the jail at that point when you filed the report working?
Yes.
So you just keep every day kind of waiting to hear, or maybe still trying to contact her and nothing?
Exactly.
So how long does that go on for before you take your next step? And what was your next step?
I guess there hasn't been. It's just been a waiting game.
In that time between you making a report and then we're going to pick up a couple of years later, you become aware of it as a young man. Did the police give you any updates? Did they have any theories? Did they ask for anything from you, or did they?
The last time I spoke to Detective Thornberry, we had took some DNA for NamUs. She has a NamUs, and that way they would have it on file too, in case anything was found. Then it would be on file to match her DNA with.
Super important.
But they took a sample from me and her deceased dad now. He deceased since then.
Very important.
And he's been gone since He's been gone 4 years, so it's been a while since I've talked to Detective Thornberry.
Gotcha. So let's enter Chase. You become aware. How did you find out again?
It was, I actually found out through the family, just kind of finally told us, hey, your mom's missing. We don't know where she's at. We weren't given any of the details that they knew. It was just, we filed a missing report for your mom. Nobody's heard from her. We don't know where she's at.
What did you do with her?
I didn't think of it as anything unordinary. It was just, okay, they filed it, just to get the awareness out there that we've not seen Linda. Everybody keep your eyes out for Linda. So I didn't think of it as anything too severe. It wasn't until later that I got the details about the possibilities of why she was missing that I took it to heart.
That's where we were going to go here in a second too. Is it's a mystery, obviously, but if you want to give those theories, whatever you're comfortable with. Of course, we won't name any names or anything like that, but I think the operating theories are good because I was curious as to if you all could guess where in the community or if there was a group in the community that would be more likely to have answers, where would that be? And because, again, we're talking about small town stuff, really small town stuff. What did you end up learning?
It was after her second oldest brother. He had just got out of prison. He had messaged me and wanted me to come and meet him. So I came and met with him in Perryville, and he explained to me what he had heard.
Hey, there's more to the story, so go download the next episode like the true crime fan that you are.
The Murder Police podcast is hosted by Wendy and David Lyons and was created to honor the lives of crime victims, so their names are never forgotten. It is produced, recorded, and edited by David Lyons. The Murder Police podcast can be found on your favorite Apple or Android podcast platform, as well as at murderpolicepodcast.com, where you will find show notes, transcripts, information about our presenters, and a link to the official Murder Police podcast merch store, where you can purchase a huge variety of Murder Police podcast swag. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which is closed caption for those that are hearing impaired. Just search for the Murder Police podcast and you will find us. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe for more and give us 5 stars and a written review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you download your podcasts. Make sure you set your player to automatically download new episodes so you get the new ones as soon as they drop. And please tell your friends. Lock it down, Judy.